Okay, so our last subject today is we're going to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the fact that Sam Wilson is officially Captain America. That was my
Yes,
Yes,
intro.
sir.
There it is. And so as somebody who's not a big Marvel person,
Hmm.
I haven't bothered watching WandaVision. No offense, Wanda and Vision just don't they don't do anything for me as characters. Like I'm not interested in them. So
Okay.
I didn't bother watching WandaVision.
I,
But
I'm, a,
I
I'm
hmm
Medusa. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. No one actually likes Wanda besides debaters, and even battle debaters don't actually like her. They just like bullying other battle debaters with her. Like, why do you think the X-Men and the Avengers keep pushing her onto the other's team? Like, nope, she's your problem. Nope.
yeah, I just I just maybe it was the fact that I just felt like she was I don't know, underutilized in the movies or something. Like I don't know, but I don't care about her. For me, honestly, I think when I realized I didn't care about her or Vision was when they both got whooped by Thanos' people, but like Black Widow can save them. Like and yes, Captain America's too. But I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. You like can alter, universes in people's minds, and Vision is supposed to be this super powered like AI kind of thing, and y'all get whooped by minions. Like I was like, okay, and that was kind of where my interest
I
dropped.
mean,
So
well,
I didn't care to watch the TV show, but with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, now everybody knows that the Winter, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is my all-time favorite Marvel movie. It's like my number one.
yeah.
I just think the movie is well done in all aspects: story, character development, action. There's a couple parts of the action where it's like, really, but overall, it's my number one movie. So when I heard that they were making this show, I already knew I was going to watch it. And,
Hmm.
it finished last week, the first season. Thank God it's not, just one and done. Hopefully they're going to keep going. But I
Yeah,
just really, for it to only have what, 6 episodes, seven
six. Yep,
episodes,
six.
6 episodes, it was really well done in six
Hmm.
episodes. Like,
Yes.
I can't think of a single part that I felt was lacking or, maybe they didn't, explain enough or, there wasn't really any loose ends. Like they did it really well and they packed so much. They packed emotion, history, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
the whole world got introduced to Isaiah Bradley.
Right.
And comic readers too. Yeah, I think comic readers who may not have known about his story got to learn about him. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So in the episodes where Isaiah Bradley, showed up first, like I had looked and there was like all kinds of searches about Isaiah Bradley in the comics and it became Isaiah Bradley Marvel's what on what is it, covered up secret or secret dug up or something like that, where it's like
Yeah.
they told his story but not really, and then they just didn't do anything with him and he's just been out there, but he's always been in Marvel's history, but they didn't really give him the proper respect that they should have, and they gave that to him in the series. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And that is one of the things that makes the introduction of this character in the MCU so pivotal because of the comic book arc, the comic mini series that they did. I think it was 2003. Was I think it was I believe it was 2003. I may be wrong, but that was when they had introduced his character. It
Mm.
was called Red, White, and Black, and
Oh. Mm.
and basically the it draws parallels from the Tuskegee experiments
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and how they tested like a version of the super soldier serum on him. And he was like one of the few people, if not only one, it worked on. They sent him on missions, but they never publicly released his name as being
Right.
out there on missions. And they basically just hid him away like a dirty secret.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
for them to go that route and introduce this character, it not only brings more substance to the MCU, but it also leads a lot more uh interesting things in the future, because I don't know whether or not they'll bring in his son, but they definitely already introduced his grandson
Yeah.
who eventually becomes a young Avenger later on.
Oh,
So
who does he
so
become?
Patriot.
Patriot.
Oh, I've heard that name before. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he was a part of the Young Avengers team. So I mean, and we've already seen seeds planted for that because we already got introduced to uh uh Billy and Tommy and WandaVision, who are Wiccan and Speed. You know, because well, you didn't watch it, but basically they're her essentially the only way you could put them is that she basically conjured her sons out of thin air.
Oh my god.
I promise the show explanation is exactly, I calculate this, 132 times less confusing than the anime. I mean
Than how the comics were.
yeah.
So, but
Trust
yeah,
me,
because obviously like the whole thing,
point.
like she was dealing with different stages of grief about like this life that she never got a chance to have with Vision. So obviously, she got married, had a house, had kids, this, that, and the third, or whatever. So essentially, like they are the son of Wanda and Vision. So and the crazy thing is that they have their mom and uncle's powers respectively. Like I forget, I always forget which one is the speedster and which one is the magician, but basically one is a speedster and one is the magician, just like their mom and uncle. But we saw those characters, so you have that. Then of course we got Kate Bishop.
William is this. Billy is the magician. He's Wiccan.
So Billy is Wiccan. Okay. So Billy is Wiccan and Tommy is Speed. Okay.
Yep.
So we got those characters. They
Yeah.
introduced Eli
Yeah.
Eli Bradley Patriot in the show. We still got Miss Marvel later on and Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye series. So they're already planting seeds for something else to go down, which I think is pretty dope. But going back to this, it's just like I said, it's one of those things that I feel that was very important with them adding that substance to this, because again it's like you know it's always refreshing, or just it's always refreshing when we actually see like comics touch on current issues when and which comics have always done. It's nothing new. Comics have always touched on current issues of the time, so let's not act like that's new.
Right.
So and because they've even touched on other stuff like they've touched on immigration in a lot of ways in this with the Flag Smashers, and like with them becoming their own, you know uh I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to necessarily say terrorist group, but even though they kind of were doing terrorist shit, but
They were
Extremist
literally
group?
a group.
yeah, okay, like radicals, extremists, and
Radicals.
whatnot.
The moment they start blowing stuff up, you're like, okay, yeah, they're terrorists. Like,
Right, yeah. But it's like,
That's
but
what
it's,
Zemo
it's one of
says in
those
his
situations
dude.
where it didn't start out that way. Like
Right.
they were very much a revolutionist type of group or whatever that just wanted to
Right.
be, whatever. Like after the decimation, the blip, whatever you want to call it. Like, and them addressing that, again, further addressing the aftermath of everybody coming back after Endgame. It's like, again, it's like you see that like it ain't just hey, everybody's back. Like it's literally become like a a a GPD issue for like a lot of different countries now,
Yeah.
because like they already like calculate these people gone now all of a sudden back, and they can't approve loans for certain people because of this and
Resources
that, and
running
it's just
out.
like
Right. They don't have
right.
enough housing. Right. Right.
Right. And it's like and it's interesting because it just kind of solidifies that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And some at some point something still has to be shaken up. And I just love the fact that this show really just brought Winter Soldier and Civil War full circle with its storytelling. Um Overall, it's like I know some people kind of complain about it, like being too short and feel like, and I granted, I do think like the show probably could have benefited for maybe one more episode. I don't know, like if COVID had anything to do with it, it might have, but
But
who
I didn't
knows?
feel it was rushed in any way. I didn't feel it was rushed. I
I don't feel it was rushed either, but they definitely were working on a fast track with this story. They
yeah.
definitely were. But to me, that's a feat in itself because anytime like you do something that's fast track and it doesn't completely feel like it was rushed, it's like, dude, that's a feat in itself because they did so much within 6 episodes, and it was like,
Mhm.
wow, it's like, they uh just deal with systematic racism, mental health, PTSD, immigration, you know, a lot of different stuff. And it's just like, dude, like I didn't expect this show to hit like
To
it
have
did.
so much, yeah.
And it's like as much as I like WandaVision for what they did, this show is easily better.
You know,
It's
and
easily better than WandaVision. So
and one
it's
of the things that I liked in between the dynamic of going back to what you talked about when we all learned about Isaiah Bradley and yeah, that the government basically used him, and then when some of his people got captured, the government was going to kill him. They were going to
right,
bomb like the compound because not trying to say, but to cover up, the fact that they were experimenting on these black men. And Isaiah Bradley
right,
was being held. He broke out, got his people
right.
out, and then he was able to escape with, some help from a nurse, and then
Mhm.
remade his life. And the dynamic between him and Sam Wilson, I think was very important because, us as African Americans, we definitely have a troubled history with our government. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
absolutely.
And you have black people who feel exactly like Isaiah Bradley, like, fuck them, that kind of thing.
Right,
But then you do have a lot of people who feel like Sam, like because of what you went through, Isaiah, and because of what I'm trying to be for, kids coming up under me, nobody can tell me how I'm supposed to feel and what I'm supposed to do to make my contribution. I want to
right,
right the wrong that was done to you and let other people know that black people are here and you can be, Captain America. I thought that dynamic between him and Isaiah Bradley was very interesting because I know that there were black people who are on both sides of spectrums, who were like one
absolutely.
or the other, and black people who felt both. I honestly can see both. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I just felt that was one of the things that really touched me is that dynamic between him and Isaiah and Sam wrestling with if he really can be, Captain America as a black man.
Right.
Mhm.
And just to touch on that just really quick, because I definitely want uh Toku to
Yeah.
chime in.
Hmm.
And one of the things I thought that was really cool was the and a lot of this stuff you can kind of infer because like you kind of have to go by how he was trying to handle like even thinking about taking up the mantle as Captain America
Hmm.
after Steve gave him the shield. And it was just like, because I think it was like a lot of layers to why he didn't, and it took him a long time to realize that, you know, it's not necessarily taking up Steve mantle, it's like you have to
Right.
take it your own.
Right.
Because I really do feel like it wasn't only the fact that he was a black man carrying the shield. I think it was really like the mindset that he feels like only Steve could carry that shield.
Yeah.
That's a really big theme in the show,
Yeah.
and that's why I didn't get the complaints. Like people were complaining
Right.
that Marvel missed an opportunity when he was fighting Carla, and she told him to stay down. And he said no. And they're like, "Oh, he should have said could do this all day." I'm like, "No, that was the point.
No.
You had
No, that completely
That's
defeats the
Steve's.
purpose of the
Exactly.
character.
That belongs to Steve.
exactly that was the point." Uh,
And that's another thing too that they miss. Like the thing is, they keep forgetting that Steve, even as much of a soldier he is, he's still an understanding person.
Hmm.
exactly.
The thing is, he it's like again, like if you have not been paying attention since Winter Soldier, since Civil War, and so on and so forth, or whatever, he's not just gonna. It's like, look, he will do what he has to do, but he's still a compassionate person.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like it's not he wouldn't just like just would have just beat Carly just for the sake of beating her or whatever because she's on the wrong. It's like no, that's not who Steve was.
And
And the thing
Steve's
is,
transition to become cynical toward not really cynical but skeptical. That
right,
transition was like years. Like Steve
yeah,
wanted to serve his country. He wanted
right,
to fight. the super soldier serum allowed him to be able to serve, because obviously we all know that he wasn't physically fit enough, but he
Right.
always had that level of patriotism, like from when we're first introduced to Steve Rogers
Right.
in the movie. I'm not a comic reader, but in the movies, he always had that want to serve and to save people and help people be better.
Yeah.
Who he
Yeah, that's-
turned in towards the end, that took a very long time after he learned what was really out there, and that maybe the government isn't
Yeah.
all they
Because you
cracked
learned
up
that in
to
Winter
be.
Soldier.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I just wanted to point that out, going along with what you were saying about his
yeah,
character, but he still cared about people, which is why he, spent so much time trying to find Bucky after he learned Bucky was alive. He still cares
Mhm.
about people after all of
Right.
that.
mhm.
So, and
go ahead, Terry.
Another thing I really liked is how they use symbolism without drawing super big attention to it. Like in episode 5, when they have the final battle with John Walker for the shield, and
Right.
Sam finally claims it, and you see he tries to wipe the blood off the shield,
mm-hmm,
and
Mhm.
he gets some of it off, but but every time we see it from then on, it still has the blood stains on it. That's
mm-hmm,
really good symbolism because it shows that John Walker's actions have permanently stained the blood
mm-hmm.
of Captain
Mhm.
America, as
That-
represented by the
Dude, that last shot in episode 4. Oh my
Yeah, where
goodness,
he's
bro.
holding the bloody shield after killing that dude.
Dude,
I was like,
that is something straight out of that is literally like a scene straight out of a comic book, straight up. Like that
I
was
was
such
like,
a really great shot.
whoa. It was. I was
It
like,
was like,
oh,
ooh wee, because it's
you're right. That was definitely very strong. That in first episode 4 and 5, the symbolism in both of that was
yeah. And
was very good.
definitely shout out to Wyatt Russell up there looking and sounding like his dad, man. For real, man. It's like
now I want to see Now I want to see Wyatt Russell in a remake of the Thing.
Oh,
he doesn't want to do. Well, no,
that
I
would
think
be
he said
nice.
He doesn't
he
want to
said
do
Snake Plissken he didn't want to do.
New York.
Honestly,
Yeah.
him being in a remake of The Thing, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe, but like I could see him wanting to try to do something different. Like I know he doesn't want to like be like in his dad's shadow forever.
yeah.
So
Yeah. It would be awesome.
you know, but I mean he was I
Also,
felt a certain way about his character. Well, obviously John Walker in general, whatever, but I definitely like how they were able to at least kind of cover the contrast as his character progressed between them picking him to carry the shield even after Sam put it in the museum allegedly. But it's like the way they kind of transition John Walker to where he is now is just like it's like okay, I can understand the complexity of this character. Like I still feel a certain kind of way about him, but it's like it wasn't until like that last episode where it's like okay, all right, I'm still side-eyeing you for a bit, but I'm like, okay,
He's still a
you're
damn problem. Okay,
yeah,
he's
most
crazy.
definitely,
He's still
most
detached
definitely,
in a
like,
damn problem. Still a problem.
and
most
And
definitely.
right.
go ahead,
Well,
Toku. What was you saying?
let's look on the bright side. At least they didn't adapt William Burnside. We would never hear the end of it.
Yeah, you were talking about that before.
Medusa, if you don't know, William Burnside is the second Captain Marvel, the commie basher Captain Marvel of the 50s. No one actually likes him.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
he's a terrible human being, and then the super serum made him even worse. Like, take every bad jingoistic part of McCarthy era United States and make it a person.
Oh,
Mm,
okay.
yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all.
Well, that's going to be something.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
literally not good at all. But
We really
hey, I
should
mean,
believe that the MCU isn't adapting him, because I could not sit here and be online with people trying to defend him. I'd murder someone.
oh, not at all, dude. Like it's basically just on that. It's like, dude, the logical choice was John Walker, bro.
Yeah,
And it was like,
because with John Walker, you kind of get where he's coming from. Like,
Yeah.
John Walker wants to do the right thing. He just doesn't know what the right thing is, and he's
Right.
an impulsive moron.
And I think
Yeah.
also he, when it was funny to me because when he talked about how I think he was talking to Sam and he was like, yeah, like I studied Captain America, like all his moves or whatever. But it's like, but did you study? Like, did you really, like, do you really know
Like, do you
everything
know
that
who the
Steve
man
Rogers?
was?
Right, because and not just do you know who he was, but do you know what he had to deal with? From when he, because the kind of enemies, the kind of wars, the kind of battles he fought, like you're in over your head, dude. So it makes me
Yeah.
wonder how
It-
much
it-
did the government tell
I-
him to
I-
prep him to take over as Captain America? Because clearly they obviously left some shit out because
Yeah.
that man was unprepared in a lot of ways or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
was
And I think that
he
might
was
have been
not
part of
ready.
his frustration. No, he was not ready. And I think that was another part of his frustration.
Also, if you ask me, the dichotomy between Sam and John is the perfect explanation of the doctor's statement that Captain America should be a good man, not a perfect soldier.
Exactly.
Right. And Dr. Erskine like laid that foundation like early on.
Exactly.
Also, can we just be proud of Bucky for handling his PTSD so well?
I wanted to talk about that
Yep.
too. Go ahead. I wanted to talk about that
Yeah,
too.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead and
man.
talk about Bucky.
Like, this man went from sleeping on floors with a gun under his pillow, freaking out, having nightmares all the time, to just casually crashing on Sam's couch, no
Mhm.
weapons, waking up, smiling. He's like,
That's the power of black
It
people.
was
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
it was great, man. It's first of all, look, let's just look. Can we just put it out there that Buck definitely was spent a lot more time in Wakanda than we thought,
yeah,
just in general.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
because I mean, my man was definitely
He was first name
definitely
basis. Okay.
right. I was like, it was like my man was basically like eyeing Sarah like lunch for a minute. It was like he was definitely trying to be a
I wouldn't be
stepdad.
surprised.
you
I
know?
wouldn't be surprised if in season 2 he ain't moved in and got a toothbrush. Okay, he at the
I'm
table
saying
with
he
the
was
kids helping with their
he was
homework.
definitely trying to be a stepdad in episode 4, man. Like I mean, no, it was 5. That was 5. It was episode 5.
about their relationship is it started off as just trolling Sam, and then they were like, "Oh wait, are we really doing this? Because we can really do this."
Listen, that flirt with his sister when he first introduced him, he goes, "Hi," and he does it so generally, like, again talking about his PTSD and dealing with it. Like when he gets set up on the date with the bartender, he's very nervous. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't really know how to respond to things. He's uncomfortable. He's trying, but he's very nervous. But when he meets Sarah, he goes, "Hi, I'm
Comfortable
Bucky."
as shit.
Like, yeah, like he's comfortable as shit. "Hi, I'm Bucky, by the way."
It's
Big
like
old
that's
grin.
what I'm
You know what I'm
saying.
saying?
My man was in Wakanda for longer than we thought, man. And it's like, look, and shout out to General Ale and like the Dora Milaje, man. Like, bro, when they popped up to get Zemo ass, and like Zemo had a really great arc in this too.
He did.
And it's like, and it was like it was just so interesting because it's like it's I just love stories anytime where they're able to successfully do a story where it's not so black and white and everybody falls into a gray area. It just depends on which end of the scale they fall off at.
Mhm.
And it's like it's like the only person that I think that was obviously probably more problematic, and essentially the ending that they got like was pretty much deserving in a lot of ways. What it ended up with Carly, because
unfortunately,
because it was like it's like unfortunately for her, it was just like she had been through too much and done too much to be helped at that point.
And that's what Zemo says. Zemo was like, "Listen, the minute she like tries to blow up, the minute she tied those hostages up, but then blew the building, that was when there was no going back for her. That was the first time she had hurt quote unquote innocent people. And it was just like Zemo said, like she's gonna get worse. You know what I'm saying? And the minute she, crosses over into actually being a true extremist, which is where she was headed, he was like, there's only one ending for her. You're not going to be able to reach her. Like, that's going to be it, because she had a goal. And at that point, she was going to do anything to achieve that goal. So
now
that was it.
But just really quick, but to to that argument, there's a chance that it might have been resolved a different way had John not been
If
overzealous.
John not have listen, John messed that whole scenario up. Messed it up. But Toku, what were you going to say? Wait, hang on, follow Marvel. Toku, what were you going to add?
Is it's no longer clear how much of their insanity, like thanks to episode 6, we now know that they can overcome the serum and do the right thing. So it's no longer clear how much of their insanity you can blame on the serum and how much of it is just them.
Right.
Yeah, that's something I like. Like, I know originally they were like, hey, all the serum does is enhance what's already there, but people were making the excuse that since the serum enhances things, it makes them go out of control. But now that we know, thanks to John Walker's example, that you can pull yourself back, it's unclear how much of Carly and John Walker's insanity is caused by the serum and how much of it is just them and they finally have power, so they're finally doing all their little power fantasies.
And I have to admit, I'm not even sure if John Walker pulled himself all the way back. I think he still has snap capabilities. I don't think he's anything like
no,
Steve
he's not
Rogers.
over that by a long
shot.
he
ain't over that. He's not like Steve. Steve had his shit all the way in check. I don't think that's ever going to be John. I just think I think there's going to be another incident that happens and he's going to jump off.
The thing is, John had a moment where he had to make a right choice, because up to that point he was just trying. His whole thing was just trying to get respect as Captain America. That was his whole thing, because this is the parallel that I've always had with him. And because I've said this online before, I probably said it in the group before, but it's just like, look, throughout the entirety of the MCU, Steve has only referred to himself as Captain America one time, and that was in First Avenger. Ever since then, it's just like, hey, if they called him out, he called him out, but he's never had to introduce himself as Captain America.
Right.
Like everywhere. John did it like almost like every 5 minutes.
Right. There's an old saying. There's an old saying, and I know you guys are going to think it's from Game of Thrones, but it's actually older than Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones just kind of stole a real existing saying.
Mm-hmm.
He who introduces himself as king is not a true one.
Right.
Means power. If you're comfortable in your own power, in your own position, you don't have to remind everyone else of it.
Right.
And that was the thing. It's like that was kind of like the problem he was having with, because even though he did the training, he did that in the third or whatever, he didn't understand what it meant when Steve wore the suit and carried the shield. It was just like, it was to him, it was no different than him putting on his serviceman uniform from him serving and all that. Now, granted, it doesn't mean that he was a bad person or anything like that. I'm sure he did the best he possibly could. That said, I mean, John is essentially equivalent to Erskine, Dr. Erskine in First Avenger, going with the general's first choice for the serum versus Erskine choosing Steve. Because remember, like, he wanted to choose the guy he was already in good shape, whatever and all that. He was the perfect soldier. But again, it's like perfect soldier doesn't mean he's the right
perfect
person. So, and that's what we learned. And now, even with them making a new version of this serum, again, like, we still don't know what the effects are of that serum, because it's like no one has ever been able to really successfully replicate. Now, this is probably like the best replication of the serum they probably have had since Dr. Erskine.
Yeah,
but Dr. Erskine's formula was that was a perfect concoction. They haven't been able to replicate that.
Yeah, so we don't even know if the mental instability comes from the serum itself being unstable. That's another possibility. Though I always prefer the idea that the serum doesn't actually do anything to your mental state. Like, this is my personal. It's none of these ideas are canon. Like, we don't know anything for sure yet. But my personal favorite interpretation is that the serum doesn't do anything that you don't want it to do.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
my
Right. It
position.
might just enhance what's already there. So if you already was a little bit off, like
Yeah.
with the way that
gonna
John
be even
Walker just right, the serum may just enhance and make you even more off. Which, in my opinion, that's what the case with John was,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Now, also,
But
just really
still,
quick.
Wait.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Toku, what was you
Sorry.
saying?
but at the end of the day, it's still like sure, like for example, I have bipolar disorder, so I don't get angry, I get enraged, but I'm still able to control my rage and direct it to other things. I think I personally like interpreting the serum the same way. Like, yeah, it enhances what's there, but you still are in control and you still make the choices.
Mhm.
Still,
It may also remove your ability to regulate yourself a little bit too.
it
You know what I'm
might.
saying?
Yeah.
That could be something it may do. So you go off, you can become unhinged a whole lot,
Yeah.
quicker. It may remove, well, obviously, like you said, we don't know, but that could be something that it does too. It removes your ability to rein yourself in. It just like lets all that shit loose, depending on who
Right.
you are. So if you don't have good control over yourself, then you become a
Right.
problem, and Zemo got to come after you at that point.
Right.
Which, by the
And I
way,
think
I was
yeah, go
impressed
ahead.
with Zemo. I don't know a
Oh,
whole lot about
absolutely.
Zemo besides what I saw in the movie, but I was sitting up here like, look at this dude. I liked his whole character. I liked how he was he had a little bit of comic relief in there, and some of the things that he would say to Bucky and Sam, where they were like, wait a minute, you got a plane? He was like, I'm a Baron. Like, I was
Yeah.
already a Baron when I had
Yeah.
money. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay. He was like, that's not a moniker. He was like, that's not like my villain name. Like, I'm an actual Baron. I cracked up a little bit. I thought that was funny. But I like
That was great.
that's
That was
the
great.
first time like they actually confirm he's a Baron in like on screen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, in Age of Ultron, they just kind of rushed that off.
I
Like
don't
they
even know if they really touched on that in
No, no,
Ultron.
No, they didn't. It's
Okay. I didn't
no,
think they
because he was
did.
first introduced in Civil War.
Thank you.
But
Oh, okay.
they
Thank you.
may because I mean we know that it could have been references to it or whatever because since like the climax of the movie ended in Wakanda, I mean Sokovia. I'm sorry,
But
and
they don't. Yeah, I just saw the movie the other day. They don't mention him being a Baron.
No, I
Mhm.
didn't think they did either. Like, so I honestly thought he was just like this regular dude that had an axe to grind.
Yeah,
You know
like
what I'm
in
saying?
Falcon and Winter Soldier, everyone just assumed he was just like a normal dude.
Yes.
Spy.
Yes.
Spy.
well, no, he's had special forces training because I think they said because they showed that he was part of the Sokovian
Thank you.
special forces. So
did.
like he's had training.
No,
it's just
but they
that
don't call to the fact that he has a whole lot of money.
right.
They don't call
Right.
they don't call that.
But
Yeah.
that's what I meant by a normal dude. So
Yeah, a normal, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So it makes more sense now because I used to always ask, how can this regular dude like know, you know what I'm saying, like find out and know all this stuff. And now that I understand who he is because of the series, I'm like, oh, okay, so he's got access to this and he knows this person, he got this kind of money, these kind of connections. So I get it, how he was able to come across Bucky's trigger words or whatever. Like
Right.
I understand now because the movies, I honestly just thought he was like Toku Seri said. I thought he was a regular dude that was scoring because his family died and whatever. But I was like,
Right.
there's no way he could come across this
don't
top
look at
secret,
Yeah,
things.
he had to be more than that. He had to be.
Now I understand because the connections and the money that he has, I get it. I get it now. I understand that now. So yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and then really, really quick too, just going back to touching on Bucky, I did think that Bucky's story was very well done in this too. You know what I'm saying? The fact that where he
Yeah.
let Sam know why he was so upset that he gave up the shield and what that meant to him as far as, Steve put a lot of effort to save Bucky. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
put in a lot of effort to save him, he took him to Wakanda to take him to people who could help him. And, Bucky felt like Sam giving up the shield meant that maybe Steve was wrong about saving his life. And, the
Right.
nightmares he had about the things he had done and the way that he was kind of trying to rectify those. I like the fact that it was Sam who coached him a little bit too, not just his therapist, but Sam really telling him, how you you know how you can help the nightmares, you have to do the work. You doing what you think will help, but that's not really helping these people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or whatever. And Bucky's journey, seeing that he struggled, the part where he was in Wakanda and he was, she was saying, the general was saying the words to him, and
Man, that
that part
hit
and
me
him,
so much.
yeah, and it made me wonder what they had did with him before. Like, did they just have sessions where they just said the word to him over and over, and then he had to mentally, challenge that? Did they do other some kind of therapy with him? It makes me wonder what that was, but that was a really powerful moment. And the way that he was able to fight that finally and free himself, that was a very powerful thing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and then people were talking about how they felt in the fight scenes, how they felt like Bucky wasn't Bucky, because he was, in some of the scenes he was some of the scenes he was getting whooped some of it. But then I told people, and you saw this one scene or this one comment I said, Kyle, in the group, all you got to
Mhm.
do is watch the club scene with Zemo, and where they
Right.
had still hit the Winter Soldier, and he said those trigger words, and the way Bucky cleared them people out, it's there. He just doesn't want to be that person anymore. So he
Absolutely.
fights different.
Yep.
He really is trying to disassociate himself, like, totally. And I thought that was, really well done.
Yeah,
By
And that's a lot. That's what a lot of people don't get. It's just like this man is essentially trying to reclaim his humanity
yes,
from literally decades of
yes,
just being a gun.
yes,
Like he was literally a
exactly,
living weapon for decades
exactly.
with no control of himself, no choice, nothing. And he battled through that. And this show, I
Mhm.
think, did a really good job showing all of that. Just really quick though, can we discuss Miss Sharon Carter in this show?
Oh, the fact that she's a traitor? Listen,
Bro.
I didn't see that coming. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little in the last episode where where it's coming down to it, and she says, it's you that what is she called? The handler? No,
Power broker.
power broker. She was like, oh, so it's you. And then the fact that they knew each other, I was like, oh, so you're the one that texted her and said that you stole my stuff. I want it back. I was like, oh shit.
Right.
Like, I was totally shocked. I didn't see that coming. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see that coming. What'd you say, Tucker Terry? What'd you say?
What would her Aunt Peggy say? Her Aunt Peggy would be so ashamed of her right now.
Oh my God. Listen, Peggy, Peggy is rolling in her grave, okay? I honestly couldn't believe it. And I was thinking to myself, because when they talk about how she ended up overseas anyway, because they all tried to, they tried to find Bucky and then they stole the shield at one point. I would like to see the flashback,
Yeah.
by the way, of
They
that.
made her enemy of the state after that.
They made her enemy of the state and she had to leave. But in my head, I was just like, but I mean, like, she went from one all the way to the other. Like, that's a big,
I mean, granted, I would say this. She probably was one of the ones that was left behind when it was all said and done and had to do what she had to do.
yeah,
Because I gotta remember, like, it's not confirmed whether or not that she was part of it. More than likely she wasn't, if she had this kind of turn, because between that happening initially and then the 5 she essentially been on the run for 7 years.
Was it 7 years? I didn't think it was
It's
that
probably
long.
about 7 years, because I think Civil War was a year and a half before Infinity War.
You might be right. I didn't think it
So
was 7 years.
yeah,
I think they talk about how long she's on the run. I may have to rewatch.
yeah.
So
And then
I
it
didn't.
was then you pretty much add 5 years of that. She basically had been on the run for almost 7 years.
It depends on if she got blipped or not. If she got blipped, then it's only been 2 years for her. If she didn't get blipped, then yes, a full 7.
Whoa.
Right.
Okay.
So more than likely she was probably the ones that survived it.
And I guess maybe she
had to do what she had to do.
Yeah, I mean, you over there in an area where, the underground is how you, I guess, how you live and whatever. I just honestly didn't see that coming. I really didn't. I was literally like, oh shit, it's shit, shit. Oh,
yeah, honestly, I kind of suspected since episode 3. No, not 3. I want to say episode 4. I suspected.
Because of the way she just knew certain things and kept
Yeah,
popping
like the
up.
way she was handling shit, it was like, like I kind of, I've been suspecting since about like episode 4. Like when she like made the phone call and like dude was snapping and like was yelling in French, like I automatically knew that was Baltrock, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I did
knew it.
too. I figured that when I heard it, I was like, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah,
And then, at the end, she gets back into the United States per Sam, keeping his promise. She gets her government job back. And now she's probably going to be selling national secrets, which means eventually Sam and Bucky are probably going to have to deal with her, or maybe it's the U.S. agents, USO. But that they're going to have to deal with her. So
I just love the fact that this has like it has spun off so many different stories to go just about anywhere.
Yeah,
And it's like I just cannot wait what ties into that, because like I don't know, I've honestly been hearing that they might touch on some of the elements that happen in this show in Black Widow. Maybe they might touch on it.
But how would you? That can't be possible. That can't be possible, can it?
Can we just talk about how synced up Bucky and Sam's fighting styles have become?
Oh yeah, definitely
synced up. Yeah, they.
How synced up? Yeah,
really well. Like they fight together really well. They can match each other's combat rhythm.
Yeah,
and it's crazy. Because like the only person I've seen Bucky sync up that well in combat with is Steve himself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And I think that was something that they were working up to as well, because it's like, because again, like Bucky's in a situation where he trusts Steve's judgment. So obviously he wants Sam to be able to handle it, to be able to carry it his own way. Like, because again, like Sam was pretty much stuck of just like carrying it either like Steve or for Steve, instead of just carrying it for himself.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, like Steve trusted you with the shield. He trusted you for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's like me, it's like, look, I don't want the shield. And obviously Steve probably knew that. So it was just like, it's like, look, dude, if he gave it to you, he gave it to you for a reason.
Yeah. And I also think that Steve knew that because of everything Bucky has done as the Winter Soldier, I don't think there would be a way that I think America would be able to accept, but like Bucky knew he had done like way too much, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. So I don't think he felt he was worthy also of carrying the shield because of what he had done. But Sam, and so the dynamic of Bucky really helping Sam understand what the shield is, and the fact that what you said, Steve chose you for a reason. Like, you got to believe that you can be Cap, and that you are Cap. Like, you are worthy of this shield. You know what I'm saying? And whatever, their dynamic was really good. And Sam, honestly, Sam's flight scenes as Falcon, I was like, damn.
Really,
Like,
yeah. Very cinematic worthy for sure.
Yes.
Like, the show itself definitely was a damn movie. Like, come on, all the money they threw at the show, please.
It was. And I even like, they did everything as like, even when you watch the credits, because I watched the credits, I thought I did like the fact that the credits were at the end of every episode instead of the beginning. I thought that was cool. But even with the credits, when they show the credits, they would show Bucky first and then Sam. Well, and the last episode, it was Sam first, and then they changed the name to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So I like everything, honestly, in this whole series was just so well done. I really can't wait until the next season. It was really, really good.
They were actually planning on calling it Captain America and the White Wolf at the end, but then they decided we don't want to overload the audience with too much character development.
Yeah.
That interview, I'm like, no, overload us with character development.
It's like at this point, it's like, dude, give me more.
Yeah. And so the fact that Captain America 4 is in development, I believe now. I think I was listening to Anthony Mackie, talk about it, but the fact that it's going to be him at the center stage is huge. Like, it's huge. So, because when it comes out, I believe besides Black Panther, which Black Panther, I think Anthony Mackie talks about like he will be the first African American like mainstream comic book movie. So because like Black Panther was Wakandan, right? So African,
Yeah,
right?
that was like
So
straight up like
Sam,
African folklore. So
yeah,
yeah.
so Sam will be the first African American led major comic book movie character, and he's like so excited
Well,
about
in the
this.
MCU because we
In the
still had
MCU, yes,
Blade.
I'm sorry, in the MCU. Please
I
don't
could
like
literally see her
come after
being
me,
like,
okay?
I could literally
In the MCU, yes. It's a really big moment. And I have to admit, because of what Sam Wilson, so I was already a Bucky fan. Like I really like I said, I like the Winter Soldier as a character. So I was already a Bucky fan, but I have to
Right.
admit, because of what Sam did for like Isaiah Bradley, the fact that he made the journey that he went through to be Captain America, I have to admit I have super mad respect for Sam Wilson as a character now. That I don't think that I had when we saw him in the Avengers. Like I liked him because I like Anthony Mackie, so I like this character, but I have like so much super respect for Sam Wilson now as a character than I think I did before. And in all
Right.
honesty, that is all owed to this series. It was just really, really well done. So
I definitely agree. Like I think that I will say that I kind of was always indifferent about Sam Wilson as a character, just in general, like both comics and movies.
mhm,
So I like the only thing I could say was I definitely like the fact that before the Civil War movie even got announced that they was able to put Sam in that position because even in the original Civil War comic books or whatever, like Sam was there to have Cap's back like that. So the fact that they set that up prior before they even announced Civil War, which originally I guess they weren't going to do. So like I guess like we were all better for it.
mm,
It was just really cool that they were able to put him in the forefront like that to make him as like okay, he's an established character, so where do they go from here? Like do they, does he still remain Falcon, or do we get to that point where Steve retires and passes the shield down? And we did that in Endgame. It was like, oh shit,
mhm,
like nobody was expecting that yet. I
mhm.
mean, like granted, like folks would bring up to like, oh, they contract was up, whatever. Like, we ain't talking about that. We're talking about
Right,
characters.
right,
Okay, like whatever. So it's just the fact that we got to this point from after Endgame with him passing on the shield, and Sam having to deal with, you know, even thinking about trying to carry the shield and what it meant, and the thing is it's an interesting backstory because again, it's like that is a discussion that like a lot of folks don't really bring up with, you know, uh servicemen of color and how they deal
right,
with that.
right.
Because it's like again, it's like they are Americans and they serve their country, but like they country don't treat them with the same
Right.
respect. It's like what is the
Exactly.
mindset and how do they deal with that? And Sam was an interesting person for to deal with that because when we first met him, he had already been honorably discharged and counseling
Yep.
other
And he was
veterans. Like he
counseling
was
other
done.
veterans.
Like he
Exactly.
was
He was done. Right.
so
And that just speaks to
yeah,
Steve because Steve inspired him. Now, obviously, he needed him too because Steve was on the, being hunted or whatever, and he
right.
went to, for help. So, I mean, there's that. But I think also Falcon knew, or Sam Wilson knew that Steve was involved in something bigger, and
Right.
and he obviously wanted to be a part of it, and he was riding with Steve, because he didn't have to go with Steve to find Bucky, but
No.
he understood how much Bucky meant to Steve, and again, he knew that, it was something bigger out there. So, he
Mhm.
he went with him. So that speaks to how Steve was able to inspire him too. And he was probably the first person in a long time that Steve trusted because, Shield,
Yeah.
tried to kill him. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
Shield betrayed Steve
And
and tried to kill him and, and all of that
yeah.
stuff. So,
And that and that's great that you bring that up because on the flip side, Sam also left the mark on Steve because
yeah,
remember saw like after that time jump in Endgame, Steve was counseling people.
Yep,
So
he sure
and it was
was.
like,
Yep,
and
he
it's
sure
like, dude,
was.
it's little things like that I like respect the most because like it just brings so many things full circle and it just
It
gives
really
so
does.
much
It
layers to the
shows
characters,
their
man.
character
It's like, dude,
development.
it's like you can't help but respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What'd you
it
say,
really-
Toku?
yeah. So it shows their character development. It shows how the characters have grown and evolved over the years.
Yep. And
Yep.
how they remember and honor each other because he didn't have to take up Sam's counseling session, but he did because
Nope.
that's how much Sam meant to him. So you're right. So yeah, I just it was just a really well done series, and
Yeah.
I have it's one of those ones that I'm definitely going to keep watching because I really do like the show. So it was just
Yeah,
it was
Oh, for
I
well
sure.
done.
I agree. I hope they change their mind by Captain America 4 and that Bucky takes up the White Wolf mantle permanently
Mm,
and the Winter Soldier persona behind because he
Mhm.
hates it. Because he hates it is nothing but trauma for him.
right.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
It's
Hopefully
like
they do make that.
either he takes up White Wolf or he tries to turn Winter Soldier into something different, even though technically he really can't. Because
Right.
that pretty much has like decades of blood behind it.
Exactly. There's
There's no
photographs.
explaining
You know
that.
what I'm saying? Like
Right.
Yeah.
it's out there. So yeah. And so, I think the next series that's on deck to come out is Loki. So
Yes, which we gotta wait 2 months for,
yeah.
damn it.
We got wait 2 months, but people remember this is very important. The Loki in this series is not the Loki that went through all the character development. He's
Nope.
2012 Loki.
wait,
Remember,
that's right. He's after when he
This
sends him
this
to the
is
bypass
post
after the first movie, right?
this is post new
Or is it
this
the
is like right after New York invasion Loki.
Oh, it's after the first Avengers.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you for saying that, Toku, because that was about to mess me all the way
Yeah.
up. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
this is still very sneaky and conniving Loki right here.
Okay.
before Loki was like, this is before Loki had his realization that like maybe I'm the asshole.
So this is before the Loki chooses to sacrifice himself to save like Thor and the rest of the Asgardians. When
Absolutely.
Thanos. Oh, okay. So this is the one
Yeah,
after the first
this
Avengers.
is
Okay.
before his mother died. So
Right,
like,
and he goes, yeah.
remember, the
Yes.
death of Frigga is really the turning point in Loki's character.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Loki may hate every single person in Asgard, but Frigga's
But
his
his
mom.
Loved
mother.
his mama.
Yeah, he loved his
Loved his
mama.
mama.
He
Yeah.
loved his mother. He really did.
According to the novelization and the interviews, she was actually the one who taught him magic and how to use knives. So
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. That's
Okay.
that's correct. Yep.
So
That's
Loki is the next series that's coming out, and I actually again see, and the mine again is how I feel about the character. So I actually do like Loki, and
Mhm.
he was a very good dynamic against Thor's boringness of a character in the
Yeah.
movies. Anyway, again, not a comic reader, so in the movies I was super bored with Thor, but Loki I like. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to watching his series too. So I'm looking
So
forward.
I will say this. I think like as far as like the more mythological side of the MCU, um it was
They don't
something
really stick to it.
I kind of really do wish it was something that they were able to do with Thor to where they were able to make that the straight man thing work and still kind of keep the the Thor that we pretty much know in like popular lore. So because I
the
think
boisterous big mouth braggart,
say what?
the boisterous big mouth braggart.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, it's like I just wish they were able to find somebody that was able to really pin that like really well. Like maybe well, we're probably not gonna get that at all since he's pretty much with the Guardians now.
Yeah.
So which is fine. Like I don't mind that. It's fine.
We got a
But
little bit of it in Thor Ragnarok.
yeah, he did. But it's just like a sense of like because it was recently revealed that in the Eternals film they're introducing the Greek gods
Hmm.
because Russell Crowe was cast as Zeus, which
Ugh.
means we will be seeing Hercules at some point.
Oh yeah, the Lion of Olympus.
They better
So-
get it right. They better get it right.
So it would be interesting to kind of see that dynamic with him and Thor. So like because it's like it's like Thor ended up being one of those characters where they kind of had to, in order to kind of like do something interesting in him, they kind of had to sort of like have to pretty much model the character after the person that's playing him.
They made him the
So
comic relief, in all
right,
honesty.
and the thing is, and that's kind of like it's not like the worst choice ever, because
But it
obviously
wasn't.
for Chris Hemsworth it works,
Yeah,
but it's
it
kind
wasn't.
of always been something that's been more like comic book Hercules, though. It's always kind of been his thing. So I don't know, like it'd be kind of interesting to see how they play that and where they go with it. So I mean, I'm still looking forward to all of it and when it's all said and done. So like, it's a lot to look forward to.
There is, and so I'm not really somebody who's going to watch the Black Widow movie. I don't really care about Black Widow, so I'm not going to watch it. But I am looking forward to Loki. So so that'll be another one, obviously, that we'll talk about. But in terms of this show, I have to admit I will give Marvel kudos for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because it was just, again, for it to be 6 episodes. They put so much into it. I personally didn't feel it was rushed. I feel like they wrapped up a lot of things very well, and they also allowed for some openings on some areas where we can get another season. Who knows who we'll see as the villain or whatever. I just thought it was well done, and I mean, even like a wrap up with the fact. I mean, the fact that even Zemo's butler killed those other super soldiers. You know what I'm saying? Like, Zemo had a thing where, he does not want super soldiers walking the earth. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that his butler killed, what, I think there was 3 of them, I think, who was in that band, 3 or 4.
No, was it? I
It
think it
wasn't
was
a whole,
three.
it wasn't
I think it was it was three. I want to say it was three because, like, I
yeah,
know it
it was
was the
like,
ones that were
they
with
got
directly
arrested.
with
Yeah,
Carly.
exactly.
So
Yeah. So the fact, I mean, so it was so like that particular storyline. We got introduced to it and it got wrapped. Like, they really did a good job in 6 episodes. And to tackle
yeah,
so many issues and so many different things, and doing that in 6 episodes was really well done. So I'm looking forward to Loki, because
it's like I said, shout. It's like I will keep saying this, and it's like, look, I love all my superheroes, but this is why, like, a lot of the street level heroes work better.
Yeah.
Like a
yeah.
lot. This is why a lot of them work better. Like the only person that they need to get right, and hopefully Shang-Chi will come along and change that. They need to get Iron Fist and company right
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
forward, because
Yeah.
it's like, again, it's like, I think a lot of what the disconnect was with WandaVision, on top of folks like being mad that their theories didn't pan out, is that these are powerful characters. Like, this is like going into like the supernatural realm. Now, granted, the whole show deals with different stages of her dealing with grief.
Yeah.
So, but it's dealing with her grief, but actually going through like the different stages of grief as the show progresses, which personally, that touched me a lot in a lot of ways, which is why I enjoyed the show for what it was. So, um, it's anytime that they do something that's like more grounded, and you know it's not somebody like all up in space, it's not somebody that can literally like punch a boulder and shatter it or shoot lasers out of their hands and nothing like that. It's like when you kind of get to the down to earth type of characters dealing with real issues, it's like they are the ones that really hit home a
Yeah.
lot of the time. So it's
Yeah. Sometimes.
like Falcon and Winter Soldier is the really peak of like comic book stuff right now to
Yeah.
me.
See, and I just finished, because I'm a little late to the party, but I think like a month ago, I just finished Titans on HBO Max, which I actually liked. I actually liked the show or whatever. But then somebody told me
Mhm.
not to watch. Oh, what's the other show on
Didn't
HBO
you?
Max? What's that with the guy with the metal, who's all metal, and the lady who can eat a whole bunch of
Doom
food?
Patrol, and I don't see why they told you not to watch Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol's hilarious.
Yeah, Doom Patrol. Somebody told
Yeah,
me
Doom
not to watch
Patrol's great.
Doom Patrol
Like,
because they said that it'll make me like super depressed, because I guess their stories
like
or
it,
whatever.
it's a
That's
very, like, put it this way.
part of it. It's because
Doom
because their
Go
stories.
ahead, Terry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were talking. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Terry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You know.
Part of the fun, like it's because their stories are so dark and depressing. Seeing them get out of it and become better people makes it so much better, and it makes the humor hit harder. It's like their lives are dark, but there's light in that darkness.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, somebody
and the show, and
not
another
because
thing is that like Doom Patrol is like one of those shows that's like it's 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 absurd in concept, but there's a lot of heart there. Like it's like all the weird shit that you would think would happen in comic books kind of happens in this show. And it's so entertaining that when they do get into like the heavy stuff, like it still keeps you engaged. It's not like one of those things that just kind of chases you off or anything like that. So it's a very entertaining show. Now, of course, when it comes to Titans, I will say that I enjoyed season 2 more, but
listen,
only the
Raven's
first half
whole
of it.
storyline was trash. I don't like her at all. Like that's another show I don't want to
That's the
go into it.
consensus. No one likes Raven in that show.
Yeah, like
No
her
one.
whole thing in the show is trash. I don't like it. But
I
we what'd you say, Toku?
I don't get why they aged Raven down or why they made her. Look, I get Raven's always been a little goth and a little emo, but they kind of cranked it up to 11. Like
They did.
she went from Linkin Park to Panic at the Disco, if you know what I mean.
and they just the fact that they just made her crying and whining all the time, and I was just like, what
Yeah,
is
they could have gone a different route with that. I
yeah,
just
I
think
don't like that
that
at all.
to me, I think honestly the best addition to the show, and they still have a lot to do with this character, was when they introduced Superboy in season 2. And
That's because it is scientifically proven that Connor Kent makes everything better.
But for the record, Connor Kent is not as fine as I want him to be, and that's from a woman perspective. Okay, I have watched too much Young Justice to be satisfied with whatever the hell that dude is. I don't like it. Okay, I don't like it at all. Not at all.
Ma'am, the character is 16. I need you to calm down a little.
Listen, I don't care. I don't care. I still need him to be lightweight attractive. Okay. I don't like him at all. So that's just from an aesthetic perspective. Okay. Or whatever.
so story aside, like I mean, with that being said, like what's your take on Dick Grayson in this show?
I like Dick Grayson. I liked his struggle. I liked his because like again, not a comic reader. I always have to say that because somebody's probably gonna listen to this and be like, well, you don't read the comics. Yes, I know that. I'm telling y'all, everybody knows I don't. Okay, but I grew up on the cartoons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I mean, like even the first Batman animated series cartoon, and even watching that, you can see how Robin is like slowly getting fed up with like Bruce's shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like there's episodes where Robin really gets fed up with Batman keeping secrets, Batman making decisions for him, Batman still treating him like a kid, and that, he's like 18, 20. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Yeah. Batman not really trusting him in certain things. And just Robin really realizing that his life with Batman or his life as Robin, he may have to go ahead and separate from there, because if he's ever going to grow, he won't be able to do it staying with Bruce, because Bruce is never, at that point, Bruce is never going to change. Now, he may change with other Robins because he learned with Dick, but with just him, well, I'm not saying he learned a whole lot of lessons, but there were some things that he changed. You know what I'm saying, as far as how he treated certain Robins.
I will say in this show, I will say, for the sake of this show, regardless of however he went with Dick Grayson in this or whatever, like that's fine, but it doesn't really seem like Bruce has learned shit by the time when Jason pops up at all. Because
well, I was trying to go back. I was trying to go back to that, because so like in terms of Dick Grayson's portrayal in Titans, I actually liked it. I thought that it was, obviously you guys will have different opinions on Dick Grayson than me, because
this
comic.
one. I
But
love I
but I
love
liked him. I really did.
yeah.
You know.
No, I'm with you on this one. I can't. I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret. I don't actually like Batman because I find him psychotic and vicious and mean for no real reason.
I'm
Like
with you on that.
That's fair. That's a
so,
fair assessment.
which is another reason why Dick Grayson's my favorite because Dick is just constantly calling Bruce out on his bull.
Yes.
My
And
favorite,
Yeah,
my
yes.
favorite.
that's what made the animated series like so good because it got to that point where it's just like, dude, what the hell? Like,
And I
you
think
know,
that's
and
one of the reasons
Like
I like this show so
um,
much. Go ahead,
my
Toku. I'm sorry.
yeah, my favorite issue of Outsiders is when Dick Grayson is leading the Outsiders and he finds out Bruce has been secretly funding the Outsiders through Wayne Industries. He's like, "Okay, dude, you need to make up your mind. You are either a callous, cold douchebag who does not care about me, or you're secretly the best." Or you're secretly the best father ever. You cannot keep switching up on me like this. You need to pick us. You need to pick one.
right.
Like and
Yeah.
he, I mean, he even calls out Bruce a couple of times in Titans where he, talks about that. And I think even one of the episodes was when he was like drugged and battling his own psyche. But
Yeah.
still, you know what I'm saying? Like I think Dick's rebellion of of Bruce Wayne, or I'm sorry, not really of Bruce, but of Batman was
Yeah.
really well done in the show. Like I really did like Dick Grayson. Now, one thing I will say is I hated who they chose to play Bruce Wayne in the series. Like I
What
was
did
just
I
like,
tell you? What did I tell you?
I would like Jorah. I would like Jorah as Bruce, but I actually hated him as Bruce Wayne. I hate, especially the
No.
scene again where Dick Grayson is trying to figure things out and he's in his brain and he had that whole scene at the nightclub. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I was like, what the fuck am I like? No, I hated it. I honestly hated it. I didn't like it at all.
This is my take. This is my overall take on Dick Grayson in the show. As like, now I do understand the conflict that he had with Batman and him trying to go out and do his own thing or whatever. Now, the inconsistency of whether or not he's even trying to, it's like one of my issues with the show was the fact that like nobody involved feel like they want to be heroes. That's kind of like been like my overall issue with it. And Dick Grayson, especially because it's like for the good that they do give him sometimes with dealing with it, he made some dumbass decisions in like both
He
seasons.
did. He did.
And
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
fair.
dude, like what the
Yeah,
it's like that's it's just like things like that that kind of irked me about the show. Now it's
He was learning though.
there's some highlights in the show that definitely, but I just think that they have to be more consistent with what they're building up and how they're building up the characters because some things feel inconsistent because especially like basically with everybody in this basically everybody on the team basically being murderers. So
I oh go ahead, Toku. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, being fair, like Dick, the reason why Dick Grayson is messing up so much is because that's kind of how Dick Grayson works. He's a better person than Bruce, but he does stupid things for stupid reasons. Like, for example, just off the top of my head, trying like just off the top of my head, proposing to your girlfriend to keep her from leaving you because she blames you for not realizing the shapeshifter was a shapeshifter.
So that's a comic thing that didn't happen in the show, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't remember.
Thing, but I'm just saying that's just off the top of my head. Just one example of Dick Grayson's stellar choice making, or sleeping with your ex and then inviting her to your wedding.
Yeah, that was trash. I mean, like, and I mean, even in the show, something that was stupid was him not telling his team that Slade's son, or like what happened with
that
Slade's son.
irked me so much in that season.
And then the fact that Dick knew, or not really, he knew the whole time. No, wait, did he? Did he know the whole time that
he knew the whole time and didn't tell anybody? Then finally told everyone. Then everyone walked out on him.
Right.
and he throws himself in jail.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like
That would now I had
the
never,
crazy
that was the
thing
part
was
where
is
I was
that
in
like
the
even
show
with the
where I
whole
was just
situation,
like,
it's like, dude,
why
you
didn't you
blamed
just
yourself for
say
something that
something?
wasn't your fault.
Exactly. And that was my thing. Like when he replayed, when the memory replayed, I was like, but that wasn't your fault though. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, he did kind of follow the boy or whatever, but what happened with the son? Like he chose to protect you. So that, that wasn't your fault. And he's alive. So the whole team broke up because they thought that they got Slade's son killed by Slade, and this whole time, like you just didn't, you know what I'm saying? And then you letting yourself get arrested for what? Penance? How is that supposed to help? That ain't helping nobody.
You know what?
You know what I'm saying? Then the man Beast Boy gets captured. I like Beast Boy too, by the way. I like Beast Boy.
Yeah.
I like Beast
The only reason why Dick Grayson is so dramatic is because he was raised by Bruce Wayne,
Boy.
who
I
is
was just getting ready to say that. That's all
I
he
get
trying to do is
being
be dramatic because he was raised by Batman. So being dramatic comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I guess.
Now,
like
I
I
will
think
tell
to
you,
me, I think
didn't
like it just
expect,
gets to the point where it's a little too melodramatic.
and
But
what
that's
I
just
will
me.
tell you is, as somebody who didn't know, so I know of Jason Todd as the adult. I don't really know too much about Jason Todd as a teenager. Jason
He was not look
savageness
as a
with
Robin.
police officers as the Robin, where he broke that
No,
officer's spine. I was like,
no, no.
whoa.
First off, if that's the situation, it's just like first of all, with Batman, with us knowing who Batman is, there's no way that he would have not known about that shit.
Yeah, you're right.
There's no way he would have not known about that. Secondly, the fact is that like, dude, why are you attacking the fucking cops?
Because he was mad because of how they used to beat up on him when he was on the street.
He wasn't even in that. He didn't even grow up in that city. He grew up in Gotham. You have to beat up Detroit PD that had nothing to do with you getting treated like shit.
I guess he said it don't matter. Everybody get these, but I have to admit, I was not ready for like that particular scene where he broke that cop's neck or that spot. I was not ready for that. That made my mouth drop. Like, was he really that bad? Like, I'm
No.
sure he was in the comics, but I really was like, was he that bad as a teenager?
The worst thing he did as Robin was possibly throw a drug dealer off a roof, but it's really ambiguous, and he could have just fell.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that.
He has never gone like full on, just like
he went Winter Soldier,
doing some goofy shit like this in costume. Like no, like
that stuff was serious. I was like, okay, and as somebody who was excited to finally get a live action Jason Todd, because I've been wanting to see him for a minute. Like I was really shocked at that. I was like, oh, all right. So I didn't really know what to say about that.
Well, apparently he's already going to be Red Hood in season 3 for reasons.
Oh well, shit.
So.
Yeah, okay. Honestly, when it comes to Robins, the person who had the most anger issues and snapped the most in the Robin costume is Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
I agree.
In the comics, and like you see it in the Teen Titans TV show from 2003, but and people forget this. Dick had a mean streak a mile long. He
sure did.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He has some angry issues. It took him a while to iron that shit. And that's why I was saying, like in the Batman animated series, the first one, the one where it turns out that the person who killed Dick's parents is out there, and like Batman tries to get to him first, but Robin hears the announcement from the police over the radio. And he's like, hell no, Batman's not going to get to him. But like, you even see Dick Grayson go off like in that episode.
For sure. For sure. Like,
I was like, oh shit. All right, Dick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's just like I said, like my overall issue with the show was just the fact that it's just, the thing is that it was just so much cynicism with like all the characters. And then it's just to the point where it just felt like none of them wanted to be heroes at all. Like, no, I think the only person that felt like they could do something was Beast Boy, and they just kept like, kind of like,
I could see that.
I guess the only way I could put it is like they kind of was like hero cock blocking him at every turn.
Yeah, it's kind of
In a
weird
way,
because like in Titans, they feel less like they want to be heroes and more like they're forced by circumstances to be heroes.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Weird
I could see
to
that.
me, which is weird to me because like the Teen Titans, like they're literally founded on the idea that these are a bunch of teenagers who got so sick of waiting for the adults to help, they just went
Right, they form their own team. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So I know
And
we got off on a big ass tangent, but I just had to throw that out there.
I mean, hey, we still on comic book talk, but I
Yeah,
mean, hey,
we are.
we could just say like, hey, you know, this is our extended talk. Yeah. Our
We
extended
do.
talk on Titans and
Yeah.
you know,
So
and
I
I
mean,
mean, plus it's relevant. Like we got stuff from season 3 coming too.
yeah.
They just announced the actor for Scarecrow in that.
And I think
So
they announced too that they're coming out with a season 4 of Young Justice, if I'm not mistaken.
they did.
yeah, they did that a while ago. I forgot what it was
So
called.
yeah.
Like I
Which-
used to be excited for Young Justice, but oh my god, after that last season was so confusing.
That last
It's-
season made no
season-
sense to me.
yeah,
I
season
was
three
like,
was-
what are
yeah.
we focusing on? Are we is it supposed to be y'all? Because and then it was like a big old like time jump, which I guess makes sense considering how long it took us to get season 3. But the last season, honestly, I was just like, what is? And I was honestly uninterested.
And like the
I was
trailers
uninterested.
built up Apocalypse only for Apocalypse to do next to nothing. That
Yeah,
entire
nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
I was
Season
honestly
3 was all over the place.
I honestly didn't care about those 4 characters at all, to be honest, except maybe Cyborg. You know, I thought his little dynamic was interesting, but other than that, I didn't care about it like at all. I was just like, okay.
But the new characters had potential, they just didn't capitalize on that potential. But on the
They
bright
didn't.
side, thank you, Young Justice. I will compliment on this. Thank you, Young Justice, for finally doing something that apparently DC has forgotten and specifying that Apocalypse does not use mother boxes. They use father boxes. You have no idea how
Yeah.
to me.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
kind of
Osner,
the only thing
but-
I think my only gripe is that I don't like the fact that I guess that they're officially confirming Wally being dead.
Yeah, I always
I
thought he was
was
trapped in the Speed Force somewhere.
that's what I
I
would that's what I would think, but like with them kind of sort of like confirming his death, like I'm
Yep.
like
Yeah,
that kind of
they did.
sucks because Wally was
Yep.
like pretty much like one of the more popular versions of Flash.
And I honestly think they had a lot more story to tell with him too.
his death out, like they haven't confirmed his death out of the universe, but they're treating him as dead in the universe because, well, he disappeared into light and we haven't seen him in 4 years. What else could he be? Like,
Yeah, you know, and that whole scene where Artemis, you know, Zatanna used her magic for their souls
Yeah.
to meet or whatever that
Yeah.
was. I was just like, so he's dead for real? Like I
Yeah.
thought he was like in the Speed Force or in an alternate reality or something. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But they did kind of lightweight confirm it where she allowed their souls to meet or whatever. I was just like, yeah, I was a little shocked
Yeah.
that they did that too. Because
Yeah.
Kid, with no offense to Kid Flash, or I think it's Kid Flash, but
Yeah.
I still
Well,
vote Wally.
and
Yeah.
did he go by Kid Flash then, or did he go by Impulse? I know that's Bart.
right, Pulse for most of the season. Then at the very last episode, he switched to Kid Flash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So, yeah.
I know that's Bart. So like I think it's what Barry's grandson.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
great grandson, because he's like from the future.
Yeah, he's
No, I don't think he's that far. I think it's his grandson.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. In Young Justice, he's only his grandson. I sometimes get my information confused.
There's a lot.
Yeah, because I knew he wasn't that far down in the bloodline. So, but I know they included him, and it's like still in hindsight, I kind of wanted Wally back, and it's just like with them
Yeah.
kind of sort of like confirming that he's actually dead, and I'm like, well, shit.
But then doesn't that
sucks.
still like jack up the timeline a little bit because now the grandson is in the present?
I
Time
mean,
time travel.
let's not try to bring logic with timelines and speedsters in DC, please. that ship has sailed a long time ago.
I'm just saying, like, shouldn't the Speed Force time people like do something. Or
But do you want the Terminator movies?
I'm just saying, like he's essentially rewriting like history all the time now because of he's in the present. Like nobody, like that ain't a problem.
Man,
Like we
that
good with
ship has sailed a
that?
long time ago.
All right. All right.
One
You know, all right. I guess I'll just let that one go. All right, so really quick, we're gonna go ahead and do our final thoughts. So Fallen Marvel, let's you go ahead and go first with your final thoughts about anything we talked about today.
Yeah. Just all I can say is thank you, Toku Terry, for bringing up Kaiju 8. That sounds very interesting to read. And it's been a while since I dipped my toe into reading manga, so I'm gonna have to like get back into that and start reading that whenever I get the chance. Besides that, Warner Brothers, Snyder, figure y'all shit out. Warner Brothers, y'all don't need to keep trolling this man. And Snyder, you could stop sicking your Snyder bots on people because it's been a very weird few months since y'all got y'all Snyder cut and y'all still ain't satisfied. So y'all need to figure out what y'all want to do. And Snyder, stop revealing shit that you wanted to do in this cut that you didn't do. You said
like
you did everything.
Like the Green Lantern thing. Oh my God.
You said you did everything. Stop revealing shit. You said you did everything. Either you did or you didn't, goddammit.
Really fast. I know this is your final thoughts, but really fast. I read about, because he dropped who he was going to cast as a Green Lantern and he did, for whatever reason it got cut or whatever. And now everybody's like, well, damn.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm sure like Warner Brothers didn't want to touch Green Lantern yet because I think they were still doing the Green Lantern core stuff. And the thing is that like Snyder wanted to take wants to do a lot of things or whatever. But I'm assuming that some other folks or whatever had other plans for certain characters and of course, Green Lantern thing, Dark Side thing, just stuff didn't add up. So
and I think it's the fact that we would have finally gotten our John Stewart, which is what a lot of people wanted or whatever. So, but anyway,
I know that's what the Green Lantern Corps was supposed to be for, but
yeah. So anyway,
whatever.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
Right.
Falcon and Winter Soldier was fire. Can't wait to see what else they do with it. With it becoming Captain America Winter Soldier or when it becomes Captain America White Wolf, I don't care. I'm here for it. Shit was fire. Can't wait to see more. And I'm with everything else with the tangent. I'm just hoping that Titan season 3 keeps me there and doesn't disappoint me because the first 2 seasons they've kind of held me up and then they dropped me right back down. Especially season 2 because I enjoyed the first half of that. The second half was just like, what the hell did y'all do? So yeah, with all that being said, yes, nerd, but nerd responsibly, guys. You were up, sir.
Okay, I was going to use that, but I'm gonna still use it.
Anyway, I would have had to charge you this time.
Your final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts. First off, Tour Theory is bullshit. I feel like I say that every time we talk about Zack Snyder, but bears read it. Tour Theory is bullshit. Read Kaiju number 8. I swear to God, I will fight you. I will fight all of you on this. Because if this gets canceled, I am personally declaring war on every person who hasn't read it.
Uh-oh.
Like even those of us who don't read manga, you're gonna fight us too?
No. You're exempt because you don't read manga, period. So it doesn't.
So he's talking to follow Marvel. He's talking to people like you.
Yeah. Again, the Mortal Kombat movie was middling to fair to me. Bull had no reason to exist. WB Snyder, grow up. Y'all are grown. This is pathetic. Like y'all are in your 40s and 50s. Are you proud of how you're spending your time right now? Are you gonna put this time on your resume? I got into an internet war with my former publisher for 8 months because I was pissy that I didn't get to do my big Batman fascist fan fiction. Sorry, went off for a second. Okay, what else am I forgetting? Oh, yeah, the WB movies and the WB anime movies are pretty awesome. You guys should check them out if you don't watch them. And oh my god, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Oh my god, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Oh my god.
Hey, I can't
Gotta
argue.
agree with that one. I gotta agree with that one. So I mean, really quick, my final thought. So I'm off the hook per Toku Terry because I don't read manga. So everybody else, I suggest you read Kaiju number 8. Because I don't think you really want Toku Terry. Like, I don't think you want to open the door and he's there and like he just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you want that. I don't think you want a mad Toku Terry. I don't think the world wants a mad Toku Terry.
No.
So
That's
I'm
not
gonna need
good for
y'all
nobody.
exactly. Mortal Kombat God, there's so much I want to say about that movie, but we are saving that for our next podcast. But listen, I don't care that it's a movie based off of a fighting game. We deserve whatever better than whatever the hell that was, and that's just how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was. Oh, okay. I'm stuttering, so I'm just gonna go ahead and move on.
Simply put, we're not asking for much. Just put it that way.
Exactly. We're not asking for much. Just, we talked about somebody's got to get the video game movie right. So obviously it wasn't Monster Hunter. Clearly it wasn't Mortal Kombat. What we got next? The Nate, like the Indiana Jones Uncharted. The Uncharted movie, I think, is next, right? For video games? Unless I'm missing. Oh no.
Either that or Sonic 2. I can't remember which one.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. So so Sonic they did get right. Detective Pikachu they got right, but I mean like an action pack kind of movie. Mortal Kombat fell short. So I'm gonna reserve my anger for and disappointment for we discuss a little bit more. The WB and Snyder. Okay, y'all, how long are we gonna do this? You know what I'm saying? Like WB, don't you guys other things to do than to troll a director that ain't gonna be working on none of your movies as long as the current leadership is in place? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, can we do something else? And Zach, I agree with Fallen Marvel. Stop revealing things that you was gonna do, riling up your fans even more. Okay, so I just need y'all to do something about this beef or hug it out, pound it out. I don't care, but I like this is too much going on. So figure it out and let's all like go do something else with that. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was just, again, really well done. I definitely have to give my kudos to Marvel, which I know some people who know that I don't really care for a lot of Marvel movies. So I know that's probably going to sound very interesting coming from me. But they do some of their movies right. And as far as how they went about the entire Infinity War arc, I mean, they did it right. I don't have a problem with what they did. I think they did it right. It's just some of the movies I didn't like or whatever. But this series was just so well done. And I think a lot of us who was watching like The Punisher, I didn't care for the Iron Fist because I saw previews and knew that shit was going to be corny, so I ain't bothered with it. But Luke Cage and Daredevil in particular didn't care for Jessica Jones. But I think for a lot of people that have been waiting for more series since those shows had to get off of Netflix, they've been looking forward to stuff like this, like WandaVision, like Falcon the Winter Soldier, and hopefully Loki's good too. So there's, this series was just really, really well done. And I think the anticipation that I had was very warranted. And I'm looking forward to more. So definitely hats off to Marvel for that one. So we definitely talked a lot with that, a lot today, and we appreciate everybody for tuning in to us again and staying with us. Our views and our listening and our downloads have been steadily increasing over the last months. So I definitely want to thank everybody for listening. And again, you can catch us on YouTube on the Planet EJOB channel, Extraordinary Journey of a Black Nerd. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Google Podcasts. The quickest way to find us, I always tell people, is simply search EJOBN, type in EJOBN the letters, and we'll pop right up because we're the only ones out there with that name. So, we appreciate you guys supporting us. And, for all of us here and including Cassio and Jensen, the light skinned king, who's not here. I know he's going to hate me when he hears it, but that's what I'm going to call him. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate everybody for listening. And, we'll catch you next time on the Planet Podcast.